Layne Riggs was not happy with NASCAR officials after they issued him a 2-lap penalty after he gave the bumper to competitor Stefan Parsons after the two were going at it on the track. Before we get to what Layne had to say, I'd like to ask you please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at John Trent Racing. Also, let's look at exactly what happened. This is courtesy of Skew Car here. Layne Riggs in that number 38 Loves Ford. Stefan Parsons in the number 75 popsells.com truck right there underneath him. Let's take a look here at what exactly happened. This is a kind of a compilation video, so kind of shows a number of their run-ins during the race here. See, Parsons kind of gets underneath of him, clips him there, gets super loose. Riggs is able to save it. Great job of driving here. Here's another where Parsons is kind of running Riggs up the track right there, really getting into his left side. And then here is Riggs giving the bumper to Parsons. Gives him a shot there, sends him spinning and into the wall there. And Riggs would drive underneath him. And that is why he would be parked for 2 laps, is that shot right there. In retaliation. We did see a conversation between the two following the race. This is courtesy of Bob Pockris. Let's take a listen as to what the two had to say while just talking with each other. So it looks like they agreed to disagree right there. Clearly, both not happy with each other. Parsons not happy with getting junked there at the by Layne Riggs, and then Riggs obviously not happy with the way Parsons was racing him and kind of shoving him up the track and injuring his car as well. And let's take a listen to what Stefan Parsons actually had to say to Bob Pockris after the two had separated following the race. Let's take a listen.
Surprised when he bumped you back?
I mean, I knew he was going to be upset, but the reason he's upset, in my view, is because of what he did. You know, I tried to move up when I got to him. We were faster than him. I tried to move up to the third lane. I was too loose to make that work, so I had to try and out-wrap him on the bottom, and we would go down in the corner even, and it felt like he was just running down on my door every time. I don't know if he was upset he was getting past. I really don't know. But it's unfortunate because our popsells.com 75 truck was, I feel like, really good. I feel like we should have easily had a top 10 tonight. You know, we fired off okay, and then Chris made really good adjustments there in the second stage, and we got up into the top 10. I feel like we were about to have a good night. It's unfortunate that derailed that. And then, I mean, look, I knew he was going to be upset, but I don't care how upset you are. There's no excuse to just absolutely junk somebody, especially a place as fast as this. I don't see any world in which that's okay. So it's unfortunate, not the night we wanted, but we'll regroup. We have a small group here at Henderson Motorsports, but a really strong group. Really proud of all my guys, and we'll go get them at the next one.
Where you know NASCAR held him for 2 laps. Are you pleased? Right. I mean, well, I guess I should ask, what's your opinion on the NASCAR making that call right there, right away?
I mean, at least they did something. Because I mean, he picked my rear tires up in the middle of the back straightaway and never let me go until I was back to the fence. So I'm glad they did something. I hope they look at it this week, and you know, whether there's anything further, that's up to them. But there's no excuse to intentionally wreck somebody like that.
So that is what Stefan Parsons had to say. Obviously, wants NASCAR to issue a more severe penalty during their weekly review of the racing over the weekend. On top of the 2-lap penalty that they issued to Riggs after he hit him in the rear there, sent him spinning, and eventually ended up in the outside wall. Layne Riggs had a very different opinion on NASCAR's ruling. Let's take a listen to him.
Never seen that before. I mean, I watch the Cup Series every single weekend. I see people getting into it here and there, and it wasn't like I right hooked him in the wall. I went down to the corner and gave him a bump back. He ran us up the track 3 times under me. He said he was too free up under me. I said, well, why'd you drive down to the corner up under me then if you were too free? So so they just killed our whole left side, killed the handling of it, and it wasn't the same the rest of the race. So, yeah, I don't agree with the decision at all, especially when you have the people that you look up to race on Sundays do the same kind of stuff on Sunday afternoons.
Yeah, I've seen it a little bit in the track. I think Carson got one last year.
Yeah, which that was a right hook in the wall.
So, just what obviously you're as a rookie, you're trying to figure out what can I do and how do I stand my ground and how do I race. So I guess how will this change, if anything, how you race going forward?
I guess just don't touch anybody now. I mean, it's hard when you see everybody around you do it. And I just wanted to go ahead and finish what was started on the racetrack, leave it at that, and we'll move on about our day. I didn't think it was worth the penalty at all, but yeah, I mean, definitely want to talk to Seth and everybody at NASCAR just to figure out, what am I doing wrong? I've been told, obviously right rear hooking's off limits. We've seen, Chase Elliott get suspended for it. We've seen, Bubba get suspended for it. We've seen a lot of that on Sundays. I get that, but it was nowhere near that.
So that is what Layne Riggs had to say, obviously disputing the penalty there from NASCAR. And I think he actually has a reason too, because this actually happened to him during the race from Clint Boyer. This also from Skew Car here on X. And we are looking at Clint Boyer's truck here from his perspective from the in-car camera. And then obviously that is Riggs right in front of him. So this is earlier in the race. Let's take a look at what happened here. Very clear that Clint Boyer just came in and gave Layne Riggs a bump as well, sent him up into the outside groove. Riggs was able to hold on to it, unlike Parsons. Parsons obviously went into the wall. But is there a difference? Is the outcome the determining factor, or is it the actual action that is taken? Because he still gave him a bump in the corner as well. So I think Riggs has a reason to be unhappy about this 2-lap penalty. I think it probably has more to do with the fact that it looks like it was retaliation than anything. So I don't think that Clint Boyer here was really retaliating against Riggs, just kind of giving him a tap, moving him out of the way so he could get around him. But NASCAR clearly makes decisions. They don't seem to be consistent with them for the most part ever. I know that this is a high-speed track, and they usually don't like a lot of contact. But again, we're seeing contact. There was clearly contact with Parsons up underneath of him. I think that was hard racing. They were just kind of beating and banging there. And then I think it's hard racing, give him a shot back too. We see that, like Layne says, on Sundays all the time. You're not really pleased, you give the guy a little shot. What did we just see last week in the Xfinity Series race? We saw Sheldon Creed give Cole Custer a shot on the last lap. Was able to get underneath of him. Really good, hard racing. That allowed Bell to also get underneath them. Custer kind of faded, lost the momentum. It looked like Creed was going to go to win. But going into that final corner, Cole Custer was like, no, sir. You're not winning, Sheldon Creed. And he gave Sheldon Creed a little tap in the shorts as well. Sent him up the track a little bit. Allowed Christopher Bell to motor on through and claim the win. Now, obviously, no one wrecked, but they were also hitting people in the bumper, moving them up out of the groove. So it looks like maybe the reason that they gave that 2-lap penalty is because Parsons did indeed hit the wall, spun out, junked his truck. But I kind of lean on Riggs here. I don't think the penalty was deserved. I think that's kind of what we expect is to see kind of a little bit of retaliation like that, a little bit of payback. We see it on Sundays. We see it on Saturdays. So I'm sympathetic with Layne here. I'm obviously sympathetic with Parsons as well. His truck is junked. That's unfortunate. But he also was, I think, as Rick said, driving underneath him multiple times, getting loose, getting into his left side door, beating and banging with him. So I think a lot of that is just what we expect to see on the race. A lot of it is racing stuff. I mean, what's one of the most famous moves in NASCAR? It's Dale Earnhardt Jr., it's Dale Earnhardt Sr. driving right up to Terry Labonte, give him a little shot, spinning him out, driving past him and taking the win. So I'm sympathetic here with Layne Riggs. I don't think they should have penalized him. And everything else to me is just kind of racing stuff. That's what we like to see as NASCAR fans, stock car fans, Craftsman Truck Series fans. This is how the two ended up finishing. Layne Riggs in 25th, and Stefan Parsons finished right behind him in 26th. So let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think NASCAR will issue further penalties against Layne Riggs? Or do you think the 2-lap penalty is it and they will just kind of move forward with this? Let me know in the comments below.